Well, hello again. Today we're going to talk about anxiety, which is kind of a humorous topic to talk about because we thought that that was a very timely topic. So we agreed upon a time to start recording, and I'm sitting at my desk, just very calm. I have a nice little cup of water, and I have my journal opened up, and everything's pretty quiet and calm. And I thought that I would just, you know, when you put your head down on the table to go to sleep when you're a little kid at school? Well, I did not have my head down on the table, but what I decided to do is just put my elbows up and prop my head in my elbows, not in the elbows, in my hands. So I have my elbows on the table and I've kind of got my head in my hands. And I'm thinking, this is so peaceful. I feel so peaceful. Then all of a sudden, the telephone rang and I lurched because we're going to start recording. So I had just a little bit of an anxiety attack while, while we're starting this episode. So I just like to say that I'm experiencing anxiety as we're speaking. And anxiety is not just an idea, but it's something that manifests in our body. So my stomach is tight. Let's see, my hair is standing up. Let's see, my tongue is sweating. What else? Well, what do you feel when you feel anxious? Do you hold it in your neck or in your back? Some people get, uh,
Uh, in
neck
terms of
pain.
in terms of body parts, I'm totally confused where your neck, where your elbows are, and but I understand that you are experiencing the exact thing that we're talking about. That means social anxiety, probably. Before we started the recording, I almost had a heart attack too. Um,
No.
I don't know if that qualifies as anxiety, but my heart rate, I think, was high before uh, I called you. Maybe that's the beer to blame. I had too much yesterday. Today I kind of lousy,
You didn't
lazy,
have your, wait a minute. Okay, so
and unable.
heart palpitations that are too fast are called arrhythmia.
That's what I
When the
had.
heart's beating too fast is called arrhythmia. So you just had that?
Yeah, because I thought, what if I call you and you didn't pick up? And I immediately started experiencing anxiety. I thought, why do we even put ourselves through this? So, I mean, we have practically artificially caused anxiety to ourselves just because we want to talk about it.
No, no, I agree. I was also thinking about thinking about just the very basic definition of anxiety comes from Sigmund Freud, who said we have the id, that's the part of our personality to develop first. The baby cries and whines and doesn't know to be quiet, messes in its pants. So that's the id. And then slowly the baby here's the rules of society. Oh, no, be quiet. Shh. Oh, mama's going to hold you. Okay, try to calm down. No, you can't have a cookie. You can't have another cookie. So the id is the infantile part of us. The superego are the rules of society that we learn through parents and teachers and, bosses if we have like a paper route when we're growing up. So the demands of the id and the restrictions of the superego pressed together in the personality or in the psyche to create anxiety. So Freud would say anxiety uh, the is produced from the demands of the id being frustrated by the rules of society. Then as we grow up, supposedly through the teenage years, our ego develops and we learn how to mediate those things. So when we're angry, we don't kill someone and we don't like kick someone. We just, we become frustrated. So that anxiety is transferred.
But
So,
therapy, our
yeah.
therapy, um, I mean, in terms of anxiety-wise, it is definitely should be helpful to people like you and me, right? Who having heart palpitation.
Exactly.
before calling each
Exactly.
other.
I know. I know.
Therapist
The other,
can work
yeah.
with you or me, if or both of us, if we schedule an appointment, right? To help us to identify the root causes. Or we already know what it is. It is our conversation which we record. It's not easy to record conversations, by the way, because if you talk to each other and know that what's said, I mean, no one knows, and it's what's said is said, and the heart wants what it wants. But when you record it, there is kind of trail which you are trying to somehow um, what's the word? Um, can you help me
Like
out?
document the journey, the anxiety journey.
No, when you record anything, or like when you're being interviewed, for instance, you're trying to present yourself from, let's call it from the bright side, right? Whenever, but in reality, you're complete opposite.
Right. Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
right?
that's right. And like that's what, standing on the shoulders of Freud, Carl Jung said that we have our shadow side, and then we have this bright face that we present to the world, which we call our persona. So when you go
Mm.
into a job interview, you might be mad at your wife, you might be having a stomach ache, but the interviewer says, "How are you today?" And you say, "I am doing great. How about you?" And yeah, it's just a lie.
You mentioned the job interview, and I, I remember I remember seeing a picture where the girl was interviewed. I think yeah, she was interviewed for a job, and the HR, I don't know, manager or someone from personnel asked her, "What was the reason that you left your previous job?" And she said, "Because I always tell the truth." And then HR person says, "Wow, I think that rather good thing." And the girl answered, "I don't give a shit what you think,
Oh my
because she
gosh.
was telling the truth."
Yeah.
I don't know why I brought this up. I'm sorry. I was
No,
going
it's
to
good. It's good
tell you
because
about some kind of techniques in terms of
no.
cognitive
Wait a second.
behavior.
Wait a second.
Uh,
Just a few minutes ago, while I was anxiously waiting for you to call and resting my head just in my hands, I checked my phone, and I have a very good friend. He's a chef. His name is Eric, and he's the first cousin of David Anton. And Eric is a hilarious, fun, amazing, fabulous chef. And he just sent me uh, just a screenshot of something that he saw. There's a place here in Dallas that's called the Texas Truck Yard, and it's a patio bar where musicians play and people can get beer and they can bring their dogs in. So it's not a truck yard, but it's like a patio bar, and they always have funny signs out front. So Eric sent me a picture of something that was at the truck yard, and it just said my resume. Um, a list of all the jobs I never want to go back to. So
so can
instead
you
of your
can you name one, for instance? I mean, I can make my own
I
list
can.
maybe.
Yeah, if I have a good department chairman and I can teach however I want, and the department chairman gives me free reign to teach through my methods that produce results, fine. But if I'm in an ego battle with the department chairman and they're always standing at my door critiquing me, then it makes me nervous, and I'm just going to move on to the next job. But I thought that Eric is very happy as a chef. He's a head chef
Yeah.
out in East Texas at a really really swanky
Yeah.
place. So kudos
When
to Eric.
you said shout out to Eric, right? When you said that before I called you, you checked and then you paused. I thought that you were gonna say I checked my pulse, but you said I checked my phone messages. I said, okay, that's just me then. And also, you had do you have any extra Xanax at your place?
Extra donuts?
Xanax. I guess
No,
that's
I
an
don't take I don't
antidepressant.
take Xanax.
You don't take antidepressants. Good. Um,
Well,
I've seen
people
the
have their
movie.
different methods. Yeah, go ahead.
Mm. No, there was a movie 2 years ago. Don't Look Up. I don't know. Maybe you saw it. It's called Don't Look Up, and Xanax helped in it in a few situations. Anyway, uh, speaking of funny signs, I remember noticing one which says, like, with huge red letters, notice. Thank you for noticing this notice. Your notice has been noted.
No, that's
Or
good.
something
That's
like
good.
that.
That's good. No,
Humor, humor,
yeah.
by the way, not to interrupt, but I don't want to be rude at all, but humor helps with anxiety, helps deal with
Oh,
anxiety a
yes.
lot.
I have heard that and I've experienced that. Like sometimes somebody will post a funny meme or they'll send somebody something funny. And all of a sudden, whatever mood I'm in, I literally LOL, laugh out loud. And it just, makes you stop. It makes you take a deep breath. Your muscles on your face change from, a furrowed brow to a nice big smile. But yeah, I've experienced humor as a way to lift anxiety. Also, speaking of lifting, I mean, I remember a couple of years ago you were talking about dealing with stress. Remember we've discussed this before?
I don't remember anything. I
Okay,
guess
well,
that's COVID-19 um, after, I don't know, what's that called when you still have symptoms, though the
long-term COVID,
sickness. Yeah,
long-term COVID.
that's why I don't remember
Well,
anything
that's
that
why
we
we have
recorded
all
on
of
time.
our
I don't want to
numbers.
look back. Sorry.
Okay, well, one of the reasons we have all of our episodes numbered is so that all the COVID, long-term COVID people like yourself
Yeah,
can go back. For
because
example,
we
we
didn't know
we
when it was gonna over.
well, we did three different seasons, each with 25 episodes at near the beginning of or in the pandemic, and we were talking about stress and anxiety and what's the best day of the week and what about bridges. And I remember we did this episode that was like just so brilliant, and in the episode it was about dealing with stress, and I was so proud of that. After we finished that episode, I kept thinking like I'm going to start doing these things. And you said after towards the end of the episode that you were going to go back to lifting some weights because that really helped you. And I
Yeah,
was telling you I was going to do a little bit of Tai
yoga.
Chi. It's kind of a yoga or movement. And we were feeling so good about how we were going to be dealing with stress and what we felt like so happy and positive. And now you tell me you can't even remember we recorded all those
No,
episodes.
probably
Well,
I have short memory span. But speaking of the pandemic, true or not, I have seen a news report this afternoon which says there is a new variant of COVID, I guess. I'm not sure how dangerous it is, but I thought, damn, here it goes again. And it can't, I mean, the pandemic is over. I think it can both be true that it's over, but maybe it's not, right? Who knows?
well, I don't think anything ever ends. It just becomes forgotten about. It's like love never really ends. It just kind of like dwindles, and like sadness never ends. It just sort of dwindles. And I have found that with the pandemic, there were all these announcements like, it's over. We're back to normal. The new normal is the new normal. No, it's over. Everyone
Yeah,
keeps reminding us it's over with all these conflicting messages of, please start wearing your masks again. And like 4 people just died in this hospital, and 6 nurses just passed out on a bus. So, if you're not crazy, I think that there's something wrong with you. So when we had our episode a couple sessions ago called "Jamaican Me Crazy," I think these times that we're living in are really kind of making us crazy. And I have
well,
also heard about a new variant. It is even more vicious than the other one, but we're not sure what it can do. And I think all that just like ratchets up anxiety. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jack Nicholson played the main character, and Nurse Ratchet was her name. It was a novel written by Ken Kesey, I think. But he was in a mental institution of his own free will just to sort of see what it was like. But once he was in there, he couldn't get out. So I don't know. There's a lot of free floating anxiety right now. Just free floating. Like yesterday, we were recording or getting ready to record, and all of a sudden there was a knock at my door. I literally had an anxiety attack. Like, who is that? Oh my God, who can it be? And it was just like the bug guy coming to spray for bugs behind the refrigerator. I just I opened the door. I said, "Oh my God!" I thought it was a process server coming to serve me papers to go to jail or prison. I mean, my anxiety was so high. It was just like a nice guy with a little moon face holding a tank of bug spray. It was terrible,
I
absolutely
remember
terrible.
we were on the phone when he called you.
No, he knocked at my door, just a little
He
knock. It
knocked at
wasn't.
your door, right? Yeah, yeah.
But like, what have we come to that someone just knocking at your door sends you into a panic attack?
Do you have
Oh God.
some kind of visual help? You can see who is at the door.
No one is
Camera.
supposed to be at my door. Yeah, I've got a little peephole you can look through, but I'm saying the point is no one should be knocking at my door. No one ever comes to my door. Everyone knows that no one comes to my door. Whenever I visit with people, we visit at their place or at a restaurant. So like, there's like maybe one person that ever comes over here, but like no one is ever at my door. And we can't get packages here because they all get stolen, so no packages are ever left here. And so it's very unusual for there to be a knock at my door. Now, maybe at your door, where you're living in a more normalized world where you get packages and neighbors come by and knock. No,
Okay.
this
You
is a
said
dang insane asylum, East Dallas.
yeah. And 5 minutes ago, you said, if I'm not crazy, nothing is wrong with me. I'm still trying to process what that means. That if I am crazy, everything is right with me. That's supposed
Yes,
to
that
be
is
like
right.
that.
That is right.
So it's okay
That's,
to be crazy. It's a very interesting question because we had this interview uh, on the lie detector a year ago, and it was full of questions like that. Like, if you're crazy, nothing is wrong with you. Please confirm or deny. And I have to think, what should I choose? Because there's a catch, right? If
that's
I'm all right, that
22.
means I'm crazy. But if I'm not all right, there's nothing wrong with me. So which one is best? I don't know.
Oh, this was
It's
something
like
that HR sent around for all the employees to look at?
lie detectors. Yeah, I guess that's a widespread practice in the US as well. No? You ever had the interview? You ever been interviewed?
No,
Um,
usually an interview is when you're going for a job. But you were telling me
eh,
several years ago during the pandemic that you were supposed to answer these questions on like, are you working? Are you working from home? How much are you working? Are you sure you're working now? Is everyone
oh, that
working?
was yeah, that was a different interview. But yeah, I had so many interviews. I don't even remember uh, which one I told you about.
Well,
Would
you
you?
were in the same conundrum of trying to figure out how to answer the question because they were exploring the possibilities of bringing people back to work in the office buildings and who to bring back and who not to bring back and who lived how far and what were the family obligations. And I just remember you telling me that you were trying to be truthful, but you really weren't sure if what you said was going to be used against you. Like
Oh, then yes, but now you had to. You were specifically told to lie when answering a few questions. Like, I'm never breaking the corporate policy, for instance, and you have to lie. Otherwise, you would
and
have
say
said yes.
yes.
Who said yes, but you have to say no or yes.
Oh,
I don't remember. Anyway, you have to lie, and then that would qualify as the correct answer. It's total
yeah.
mess. I gotta get high.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
do you ever?
crazy. Yeah.
Do you have any? Okay, I'm not gonna ask you over the phone.
Okay, well, let's just say different methods that people use to deal with anxiety. So some people will take pills prescribed by a doctor. Some people will just buy pills off the street. Some people will use their friends' pills. Some people smoke weed. Some people deal with anxiety by overworking, or they'll watch pornography nonstop, or they will like binge gambling. Like anything that's an addiction is a way to deal with anxiety because you're driving down the pressure that's coming up from the id with the rules of society, which is no, gambling's wrong, no, pornography's wrong, no, don't drink too much. All the addictions that exist in society, think of it, well, I don't know why I keep thinking of sex addiction, but sex addiction and pornography and
you do know
gambling.
a lot about stuff like that.
What?
No, I'm trying to fight my own anxiety currently, and I feel like I'm losing. Sorry, go on.
Well, the other thing, when we thought about this topic, one of the things that intrigued me was that probably we shouldn't fight our anxiety. We should befriend it. We should become friends with our anxiety. And there's this one psychologist. His name was Frederick Perls, Perls. He came right after Rogers and them, like the third wave of psychologists. Anyhow, Perls' psychology is called Gestalt, and he said, I think he came out of California, but he had like a beard and was kind of a hippie guy, probably around the same time as Alan Watts' stuff. But Gestalt therapy, one of the techniques is to sit in there's two chairs. So let's suppose I'm the Gestalt therapist and I'm sitting in my chair. I have in front of me two chairs, and you come in and you say, hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so anxious. And you tell me that you're anxious. And I ask for you to sit in one chair. And you start talking. And then I say, do you know who's in that other chair? You go, well, there's no one in the other chair. I go, no, it's your anxiety. Talk to your anxiety. So you talk to your anxiety and say, like, you're making me crazy. I can't sleep. I'm thinking of taking more Xanax. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then you physically get up. You in your body, you get up and you go sit in the chair, and you physically feel that you are your anxiety talking back to yourself. And
So
you say, well,
but basically say that we must embrace the anxiety and love it.
Become friends
right?
with it. Become friends with it somehow. I don't know. Become friends with it. Like, I mean, the other thing about this topic that kind of comes up for me right now as we're talking here in therapy is that the topic of sin. We've just come through the season of Easter. We're in Ramadan for many people, Jewish Passover. So it's a time of the year in many, many different religions and spiritual traditions where people, think about their lives and how, if they've been good or bad, they do some extra prayers, they examine their conscience, they try to donate some stuff to the poor. And when they come out of that season, they're supposed to be a better human being. So I was thinking, traditionally you give up something for Lent, the 40 days before Easter. And well, I can give up chocolate. That's not hard. I can give up coffee. That's not hard. But once this very wise, priest suggested to me, maybe I should give up catastrophizing. I go, what do you mean catastrophizing? He goes, well, you like to take everything to the extreme and get ready for worst case scenarios, and that just produces a lot of anxiety in you. I said, well, I can't do without my catastrophizing. He goes, yes, that's something good to give up. But, the addictions that we have, some people love gambling, some people love overeating, and some people like driving their car too fast.
Yeah,
it's fun to drive
remember
your car too fast.
last time we spoke, or maybe it was 2 days ago, you said you mentioned Mark Twain. I don't remember the context, but when you said that you had a lot of worries, I remember a quote which went like, I've had a lot of awful things in my life, most of which never happened. I like that. Absolutely.
That's
because
a good one.
we always think of awful things, but maybe maybe they will not happen because we are trying to avoid them because we think ahead of time.
Yes.
Or maybe they even if we didn't think about them, maybe they wouldn't be happening anyway. I don't know.
No,
But the quote
yeah.
is great. Mark Twain said lots of interesting quotes. I don't know how some people get to be
Well,
that smart.
we have a subscriber who goes by Ralphie Boy, but actually, I'd like to correct that. He is Ralphie Boy 25. So he's up, I think, in Washington State. And after we talked about Mark Twain the other day, or hats or horses or whatever we were talking about, he sent me a little visual, which was another quote by Mark Twain, and he made his comment, "The eternal optimist." And these were the words of Mark Twain: "Cheer up, the worst is yet to come."
Yeah.
So
Do you want another? Sorry, go ahead.
tell me another one. Like, Twain quotes are great.
No, yeah, exactly. I remember another one. Um, the conversations we're having. Um, what I'm trying to say is, we made a decision to record them and to call each other and to, I don't know, talk about things. But sometimes I'm sure that you weren't sure about if we should, proceed with whatever it is we're doing. But then Mark Twain said once that many years from now you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do, right? So
That's true.
if we decided not to set up the Patron Therapy channel 2 years ago, and imagine that 20 years from now, we'd be sitting somewhere thinking, damn, what the worst that could happen? Why didn't we just set this thing
Yeah.
up,
No, I
right?
agree. I agree. I know that feeling well. Once there was somebody who asked me, as a teacher, as a professor, a younger woman asked me that she had the opportunity to. She had watched this film called The Motorcycle Diaries, and it was about the adventuresome life of Che Guevara, and loved the music of it. And she was in a kind of a friendship relationship with this guy who had invited her to go from Austin, Texas, down into Argentina with him, uh, not on a motorcycle, but on trains. And she asked me if she should go or if she should stay in Austin and study for the LSAT, which is entrance to law school.
Mm.
And this young woman, I said, "You only live once. Go with the guy." And then she said, "What do you think some other person would say?" I said, "I don't know. This other person you ask, I'm pretty sure that person's going to say stay in Austin and study for the LSAT." So guess what she did?
What?
Did she follow her bliss, or did she stay and study for the law school?
It's hard to say. You tell me.
She stayed and studied for law school and got into many, many law schools and just like knocked the socks off the LSAT. But she has contacted me since then and said, "I wonder what it would have been like just to have had that trip." I mean, you can always study for the LSAT. Like, a guy
Yeah.
isn't going to invite you to go into Argentina every day. I had an experience like that myself about 5, 6 years ago. Somebody at my church wanted to, he knew I loved to travel and I like art and music. And this fellow, I don't even know what his name was. Was his name Mark? Like, it's terrible to forget things. I don't even have long-term COVID, but this person knew I loved to travel. I was teaching that summer, and he asked me, "Hey, my friend Marco and I are going to go. We're going to fly into Paris. We're going to take trains up into Dublin, and then we're going to bum around in Dublin. Do you want to go?" And I kept thinking, wow, that would be like so exciting, because I had this whole thing about trains. And then I thought about it, and I thought, no, I'm teaching this class. I've signed up for this 3-week class I'm supposed to teach. I better just stay here and study. I mean, teach the class. But, I'll never get that opportunity again. I mean, with that guy and his buddy Marco to go carousing around in Europe for 8 weeks.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, you never
Pretty.
know what's gonna
Well,
happen. So it's kind of difficult choice to do or not to do. Who said that? Shakespeare?
yes, yeah. To be or not to be, that is the question.
Be or
Whether it
not.
is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against them.
Sometimes I think, I don't know about other people, but I think that me is not me, metaphorically speaking, because the decision I make, uh, I cannot explain them. Maybe other person would have be able to explain them, but when I can't do anything, I say to myself, tell to myself like, okay, just keep doing whatever you're doing, and it will work out or clear, not clear out, but
Well, do you mean like chop wood, carry water, just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you'll get there?
yeah, you can't make a decision, for instance, to go or not to go this afternoon somewhere. You may or may not go, and then you keep putting this off. I mean, the decision, and then something happens, and everything flows naturally. I mean, whether you go or not, like you
Well,
didn't even have
something
to
will happen.
worry.
I mean, I saw a sign once on a principal's door or a teacher's door or somebody. It said, "If you don't have a plan, you'll end up somewhere else." But
Well, but sorry,
go ahead.
I know the same quote, or maybe it's not quote, that if you don't have plans for yourself, other people will make them for you.
That's true. That's true.
So,
It's very hard to get to go against the flow. If some people have an idea about what something's supposed to happen, and you decide, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you were also saying another quote that you're fond of is "When in doubt, don't go out."
do you
I
like it?
have actually found that to be useful because I had a spiritual director once back in Houston. She was a very wise woman, and she would say, if you can't decide what to do, um, sometimes doing nothing is the lesser of the evil rather than doing something you're going to blunder through and you have doubts about. And it's very hard because I'm very impulsive. I'm a very impulsive person. Would you say that you're reserved or you're impulsive?
I'm trying to understand whether I have some anxiety left.
Are you there? Take your pulse.
Well, how about silence? When
Violence?
silence can be confusing.
Violence.
Violence.
You're really
silence.
quiet.
Violence is.
You're really quiet. You go. You're very, very quiet. All of a sudden you go, how about violence?
No, what I meant was silence, because silence can be very confusing. For instance, if we stop talking, but we know that we're sort of recording, I mean, what's the point, right? Or if you meet someone in the elevator, two of you, three of you, strangers, complete strangers, never met each other before, and you have to spend like 5 minutes without saying another word, would that be comfortable or not comfortable? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's very hard to find silence because even if you're not talking, let's say you and I stop talking and we hang up the phones or the microphones or something, there's going to be not literal voices, but there'll be voices in my head saying like, well, that was really great, or gosh, remember when he said this, or wow, it sounded really great when you did that. Like that's all that head noise is what the Zen meditation people call the monkey mind, that the mind is observing itself, jumping all around, and that anxiety comes from the monkey mind.
Lizard, I guess it is called, or not? Lizard
What?
brain. Lizard brain. Or maybe monkey mind. I don't know what's the difference.
Of a monkey and a lizard?
Brain.
Well,
monkey. What would you prefer to have? Monkey's mind
well, like this.
or
No, no,
lizard's
there's
brain?
no. What I've always heard is the lizard brain is the primal, the lowest form of thinking. It's just like gut reaction following
How
your
about
lizard.
monkeys and the
But
monkey's
the
mind?
monkey mind is a traditional term in Buddhist and Zen writing about how the monkeys swing from limb to limb in the forest of the mind or the jungle of the mind. So through meditation and breathing, your goal is to try to calm the monkey mind, but it's very difficult, especially if
Do you
you're
know?
smart and a lot of stuff.
Do you know what medulla oblongata means?
It's like a Alfredo, right? No, what is it? No, tell me. It sounds like
Who's
Italian.
Alfredo? I don't know any
You know,
Alfredo.
chicken Alfredo? It's a kind
No.
of pasta.
No, medulla oblongata is something that in part of a brain, I think, frontal cortex, prefrontal maybe, or neocortex. I thought you knew. I I know the term, know the word, but I don't know its meaning. So I asked you. Um, it's a medical term. Okay,
Right.
let's just ignore it. I don't know why I wrote this up either.
Well, what, you know, when they do a lobotomy,
God
it
forbid.
used to be when people had schizophrenia or various problems. For a while in the field of psychiatry, they would identify where in the brain the flashing was going on, and they just cut that part out so that you don't have those hear the voices or you don't think spiders are crawling on you. But what they found out is that when they started cutting around the brain, they also cut out a few things that, like all your memories or, you know, things like that. So, you know, cutting around the brain has been something that's been done, you know,
And
for years.
sometimes,
So
sorry, I interrupt you very often. I apologize. It's just that there is delay. Um,
we are not supposed to be apologizing. Remember, that's part of your therapy.
I apologize. I did not know that.
For apologizing, apologize for apologizing.
Sometimes
No,
I think that we need a memory wipe. I would love to have one. I've seen a movie about the future, I think, and they say, well, this man requires memory wipe. I thought, isn't it a wonderful thing? Have no
oh
memory?
heck no. I would never
No?
want to lose my memories because I always feel like in my family, women live a long time, but we don't have very good eyesight. So like there are some cataracts and, you know, eye problems. Like we have a strong heart. We don't get dementia. We're like women just live a long time. My grandmother was 99. All my old Italian aunts are 89, 99. You know, like these are like strong women. The men all die off early. But I've always thought that if I ever became blind, that I need to memorize a lot of poetry and see a lot of art so that when I'm blind, I can just lay there in my bed and like recite poetry and like see art in my head. So I don't want a memory wipe.
Mm. But I sometimes I think someone already tried to memory wipe me, or maybe it's just long COVID. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that you know the long-term COVID situation. I know a couple people in Dallas that have it, and I talked to this one person. He's a federal EPA attorney. He's a federal attorney for the Environmental Protection Agency. He's very, very smart. Very, I don't know. He's maybe 35 or something like that. Very, very smart and very much fun. And he suffered from long-term COVID. And I remember talking with him off and on, not very often, but I'd like run into him someplace and I'd ask him a question about something. He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Remember we were talking about so and so?" He goes, "He doesn't know that person." I said, "Yes, you do. You were shooting pool with him." He goes, "I don't know that person." And he's not, you know, he's not lying. He doesn't remember. He doesn't remember some things. And I've experienced being around a couple people that have long term COVID. It's very hard to get time off from work because, well, so what this fellow is doing, he's taking some kind of amphetamines that amp him up. so he can do his work and not like fall asleep. But then on the
Okay.
weekends, he wants to cut loose and like do crazy stuff. So he takes other recreational drugs. So like, no wonder his mind's a wreck. I mean, there's a lot of
Uh,
environmental protection, lawyers in Dallas. So it's not like I'm revealing anybody's identity. Like Dallas is full of lawyers, doctors, and drug dealers. But I
yeah,
mean,
you said fall asleep, and I thought most people don't just, put their head down and nap. I just fall asleep every time it strikes noon while reading some report, usually, which are incredibly boring all the time. It's
no,
like
that's
work nap
wonderful.
time. Yeah.
I really, really like it. I know that when I was teaching high school, I was teaching this private high school back in Houston, and St. Pius X. A couple of our subscribers might have actually gone there, 15 years ago when I taught there. But I remember thinking what was really great about elementary school is that the teacher would let the children put their head down and nap. So I had this fifth period class, which was right after lunch. So that means everyone's had like a big lunch, their stomach is full, and now they have to sit in a class. And I'm teaching like world history, or I think I was teaching world history after lunch that day. So what I would do is I bought all these like teddy bears and like little soft pillows, and I had some blankets, and I had them all in the back of the room. So as the students come in, and I would turn the lights off. There was still light coming in from the side windows into a beautiful garden, but these were adults. I mean, these were young adults. They were, 15, 16, 17 years old, taking, world history or something from me. They would come in and they would, hey, Miss G. They go to the back of the room and they get a blanket or they get a big duck or a teddy bear, and they just go to their desk and put their head down, put their head under the blanket, and I would start class by reading. Let's suppose the lesson was something about World War I, or maybe it was a literature class, and I was reading an Edgar Allan Poe story. So I would start immediately teaching, and I didn't really care if they went to sleep or not. And usually most of them zoned out for about like 7 or 8 minutes. Then they would would come to, and then they would sit up, and then I would say, okay, let's take out our notebooks now and start to write things down. But it was very, very effective teaching technique. It was like, it was just like brilliant. Like, because like high school students don't want to sit and listen to a teacher after lunch. They've been with all their friends. They've been running around. They've been eating too much. They had a sugar drink that's like got them all wired up. I don't know. Well, maybe we should wrap up this episode, which has gone on for like about an hour and a half. And I don't feel as anxious. How about you?
I love the silence. I love the
Good.
silence we have, and I practice it, or maybe I practice noise,
Well, good. Well,
and I I'm kind of slow today. I apologize, and I feel like I'm only able to do stuff at night. It's about nighttime at where I'm at. So if I call you like in 3 hours when you're going to bed, don't be surprised and do not have any anxiety attack because that's just me.
no, no, no.
And
But really, I don't sleep on Dallas time because I've always written and read papers super early in the morning. I have a lot of energy, like really, really early. And then I usually teach a couple classes. Then I usually like nap a little bit in the afternoon. Then I'm up really, really late. So I've been on this bizarro schedule for a long time. So, you know, well, very good. Well, goodbye to our listeners, and thank you for listening. And I hope you found something useful here.
I feel a little bit uncomfortable saying farewell to our listeners every time you say goodbye. I don't know why. I wonder what's the reason. I needed therapy. And maybe
No,
like I don't want to say goodbye to our listeners. I would prefer just hang up the phone and but that wouldn't be polite, would it?
well, we would need to have some clue to each other that this session is over. So usually when you're in therapy, it's a 55-minute session. Even though you go from like 9 to 10, you sign up for a 9 to 10 o'clock appointment. Usually the first 5 minutes is checking in, the last 5 minutes is checking out. So
And maybe you ring the bell. Do you have a bell or maybe I'll
Oh
generate
yes,
some noise.
I
No,
have
that's
some really cute bells. Let's use that. Wait a minute, I
can
have
you
a
can
bell.
just can you just let us hear it, me and our listeners, if you have it nearby?
Yes, I have to like creep over here to where
And
I
then
love bells.
yeah, and then I'll press stop recording. That would be
Well,
a great ending.
that'll be very zen.
Oh, music to my ears.